Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today is the day 36 for our Palo Alto firewall training series. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can configure Palo Alto firewall with active-active failover. So in this video, I'm going to explain what are the requirement to build active-active failover in Palo Alto firewall, how the traffic is handled by active-active peers, what is the packet flow for active-active HA pairs, what are the deployment options that are available right now, and how we can configure it, as well as I'll be explaining you the options as well. And also I'll be testing an application and see during the failover time how the application reacts and whether the session exists or the connection gets complete or not. I'll do a packet capture as well. So it will be very interesting to see how the active-active scenario works with an application. So I'll request you to watch this video till the end so that you can understand, because if you don't understand these points, you'll not be able to understand how failover is working and how it should work. Okay. So, and also I'll request you to please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a video from me. Without any further delay, let's get started. So now friends, we'll understand what is the requirement to configure HA active-active in Palo Alto firewall. Okay, so we at least need 2 firewall to configure active-active, and those firewalls should have same model and same type of interface. So same type of interface, as I have already talked about HA interfaces, right? So if they are having the same kind of interface type, so if let's say if a model is having 2 HA interface, the other model should have 2 HA interface as well. Because when we move further, I'll explain you what are the interfaces that is required for active-active HA. Okay, it should have a same license. Why? Because let's say if license supports 10,000 connection and other license supports 50,000 connection, in that case, if this fails, he will not be able to maintain all the connections. Because let's say if we are taking license for 50k connections, at least we will be using 50%, right? So 50% is equal to 25,000, right? That is not supported all in other license, so it is not compatible, right? So in that case it will not work. Now and it has to be in same PAN OS, the model, the version of PAN OS, it should be same. If your Palo Alto firewall is above 4.0, then only you'll be able to configure active-active, otherwise you'll not be able to. Okay. And if I think logically, every Palo Alto firewall should have more than 4.0 version. Okay, so why same version we need is because some features will get added. Okay, some feature in sense the app, if you see the app ID signatures, it differs version to version. So if you are not having same version, then in that case it will not be compatible. The features will not be able to use by both the peers. So in that case it will be having a problem. Okay, now the other thing is multi VCs. So multi VCs is what we can make a hardware appliance into 2 logical appliance, right? So in that case, if let's say I have 2 Palo Alto firewall, this is enabled with VCs and this is not. In that case, if we configure Palo active-active, they'll not be able to support each other, because the first device will have 2 logical devices, but this will not have. In that case, they will not be able to sync the configuration. Okay, so these are the basic requirement that you should have to configure active failover in Palo Alto firewall. So friends, now we'll understand how the traffic is handled by active HA pair. So we need to understand two terms. One is session ownership and second is session setup. So with the help of this diagram, we'll try and understand. Okay, so let's suppose this is PC1, this is PA1 and this is PA2. Okay, both are configured in active HA, right? So now this PC wants to go to this internet cloud. So the PC is following this path and reaches to this Palo Alto firewall. So this Palo Alto firewall, what does it do? He does all the processing. So he will do layer 7 processing like app ID processing, the user ID processing, the state information. So it does from layer 2 to layer 7 what is needed. He does all the processing. Okay, and after that he will send this traffic to Palo Alto 2 as well. Now this Palo Alto 2 does session setup. So from layer 2 to layer 4 he does the processing. So what it does is it records in a station table that what is the source IP, what is destination IP, what is source port, what is destination port, what is the TCP flag if in case it is TCP traffic. So all this information he'll put it. So basically the session ownership is like he's taking the ownership and he's processing the traffic and he will be forwarding the traffic towards internet cloud. But session setup is like putting in a state table. Why it does so, we'll see when we understand what is the packet flow. Okay, I'll show you in the next topic that we are going to cover. Okay, so friends, now we'll understand the packet flow in active HA. Okay, we'll take 3 scenarios and with the help of this diagram we'll try and understand. So the first scenario is new session. So let's suppose this is the PC1 and he wants to reach to this server. Okay, now PC1 initiates the traffic. This traffic reaches to device A. Basically this device A will check his existing connection whether this is a part of an existing connection or this is a new connection. So if this is a new connection, he will start processing from layer 2 to layer 7. Okay, and also he will send the traffic to device B through HA3 link. This is one of the important link and this link is only used for this connections. Okay, now device B, he will do a session setup. So basically session setup, what happens is from layer 2 to layer 4. So all this information he will put in his state table and the traffic returns to B. Now from B to A. Okay, now A will finish his processing and forwards the traffic towards the server. So as he is the session owner, he will do all his processing, but B, he is not a session owner, so he will do a session setup. Okay, why it does so, I'll explain you in some other scenario. Okay, now we'll talk about the established session, right? So in this scenario, what happens exactly is the PC sends the traffic towards this server as this is an existing connection. So he will check the connection table and process the traffic and send the traffic to the server. In this time, he will not send the traffic to B to do a session setup because the session setup is already been done. It's a part of an existing connection. So the session is already established. He will do the further processing and is sent to the server. Now, the other scenario is in symmetric packet flow. What exactly happens? I'll explain you now, guys. So now friends, what exactly happens in asymmetric packet flow? We'll understand now. So we'll take the first scenario and we'll talk about how the session setup happens. So the traffic initiates, goes to device A. He does the L7 processing from L2 to L7 processing. Traffic goes to B. He does the session setup. The traffic gets returned to device A, process the traffic and goes to server. Now, while the server replies it, what happens is, by some reason this device is not working. Okay, so the traffic flow happens in this way. It comes to B. As it has a session setup, he actually get to know this is a part of an existing connection. What happens is, he will accept the traffic and send the traffic to A for the processing, the L7 processing, whatever process you say, the device ID, app ID and user ID, those processing. Okay, now he can forward the traffic towards this PC in case of L3. But in case of vWire, what happens is, the traffic again goes to B and B replies the traffic. So what happens is, the traffic reaches to B, he sends the traffic device A, he does the processing, again he will send the traffic to device B and device B sends the traffic to this PC. I'll explain you those things in very detailed manner later time, but you just understand in layer 3 it is very simple. So the traffic comes to B, B sends to A because he is not a session owner, he just accepts the session. As the processing done by A, he sends the traffic to PC, and this is how it supports the asymmetric packet flow, right? Now we'll understand what are the deployment method that we have in. So friends, now we'll understand what is deployment option that are available with active HA. So there are two modes that we can configure HA. First is virtual wire mode and second is layer 3 mode. Okay, in layer 3 mode we have three options. One is floating IP, one is floating IP with ARP load sharing, and third is route based redundancy. In this video I'll talk about floating IP and explain you in a very detailed manner. HA, active. So friends, now we'll understand what is floating IP and what is virtual MAC. Okay, so first we understand what is floating IP. So with the help of this diagram we'll try and understand. Okay, so as this IP is configured on this interface, so let's say this is E1x1 and this is also Ether 1x1. Okay, so in this case this is the IP address which is configured and this is the IP address which is configured. This IP address is a floating IP which is configured in HA option. This is also the same thing. Okay, and if you see in this PC's gateway is this one and this PC's gateway is this one. Okay, so what exactly happens is, it has a virtual MAC address. So let's suppose if this device gets failed, he will take this IP address and advertise with the GARP saying that I am 101. So let me rub this out. So if this device fails, he will take the ownership of this IP address and says that I am 101. Send the traffic to me. So that PC will start sending the traffic to Palo Alto 1. Same thing also happens if this device goes down. He will advertise saying that I am 100, you need to send the traffic to me. So he will start sending the traffic to him. So this is how the virtual MAC address happens. But in this scenario, what I am going to do in the practical, I will be having only one floating IP. Okay, if something goes wrong, that floating IP will be moving from Palo Alto 2 to Palo Alto 1, or from Palo Alto 1 to Palo Alto 2. So this is how it moves. So I'll do the configuration in the lab. So I'll explain you what is how the diagram is. It's very simple diagram. So friends, before we configure active HA, we'll try and understand this diagram. So first of all, we'll understand this management interface. So from this, it is connected to our local PC. Okay, and we will be accessing the management of this, both the firewalls, through this one. Okay, now the second point is the outside interface. So both the outside interface will be connected to this switch, to this router, and to internet. Now we will be configuring NAT over here, and we have already configured the routing as well. So there is no dynamic routing running over here, only the static routes that we have configured. Okay, and in this scenario we have the physical IP address. Okay, and we have one floating IP address. I'll show you how to configure a floating IP address. Okay, same way we have inside, this is our inside. Okay, so we have two physical IP address and one is our floating IP address. So let's say if this gets down, he will be advertising that I am 50. Okay, 10.50 I am. So I'll show you in the packet capture how it advertises this. Okay, now the next point is we have a HA link. So we have HA link 1, HA link 2, and HA link 3. So one is control. So in control they will be checking like whether they are alive or not. So in the control we have data. So in data the session will get synchronized with them. Okay, and the third is for active. So in active as I just explained you guys that whenever the traffic hits to the firewall, it does, the session owners will be there and the session setups. So through this HA3 link they will be exchanging this information. No other information exchange on this HA3 link. Okay, so this is how it works, and this is the subnet that we are using for control links. Okay, there is nothing right now for this one HA3 link. Okay, so guys, so let's get started with the lab now. So friends, before we move on to the configuration part, I just wanted to mention that IP address, routing and zones, this is a part of basic configuration which I have already done. So in this video I'm going to show you how to configure HA configuration active. Okay, so if you are not sure how to configure it, I will recommend you to please watch my Palo Alto training series video. In that I have explained in very detailed manner how to configure IP address, routing and zones. So please go through that. So yeah, let's get started with the lab now. So friends, now I log into the device right now. So we are at Palo Alto 2. Okay, so I'll start configuring the Palo Alto 2 right now first. Okay, So the first thing that we are going to do is we'll go to the device and then high availability, and then we have to go and set up it. Now we are enabling the HA and the group ID. It is very important. So both the devices should have the same group ID, because it will be very useful for generating the virtual MAC address. Okay, so this is PA2. Okay, as we'll be configuring Palo Alto active, so all the passive active configuration will be lost, so that's fine. Yes. Now as we will make Palo Alto 1 as device 0, will make as 1, because this is also useful for generating the virtual MAC address. So that is the reason I'm making as 1. Otherwise there will be a duplicacy in the MAC address. Okay, so right now the peer will be 1.1.1.1. okay, and the backup peer that we are configuring, this is for control link right now. So this we are using as a management. So 192.168.202.130. okay, so we are done with the setup. Now election, we want this Palo Alto 2 as a backup one, so that is the reason we are making priority as 100. Preemption is okay, and this is will configuring as aggressive, so it will be too faster. Okay, now control will make it as 1/3, that is 1.1.2. subnet mask 255.255.255.0. we don't need gateways because it is directly connected. This is management, that's fine. Data 2, I'm configuring 1/4. we don't need any IP address over here. We don't have any data link backup. Okay, now we'll go to active configuration. Okay, so as I was talking about HA3 interface, it has to be same on like we have to dedicate an interface for this one. So 1/5. Okay, so in this what exactly happens with the help of HA3 link is to send the information. So when you do a session owner as well as session setup, this interface is very useful. So what you want to replicate those information, so VR is the routing information you want to sync, or if you want you can sync the QS information as well. Okay, so we don't want QS right now, we just need the VR. And there's a tentative hold timer. So tentative hold timer is like in this time the session or the configuration get replicated, what I can say. Yeah, now if you have an option of session owner selection, so session owner always be primary device. If you want, like whoever the device is primary, every time he will be processing the traffic. So will not, if you have an option you can do that, but as of now we are just doing a first packet. So whoever receives the traffic, he will be the session owner. And for the session setup, I'll be explaining about the IP module later after this video, like in the next video. Okay, now here we'll be configuring the floating IP address. So as we will be defining an interface 1/1, so 1/1 is an outside interface, and the floating IP is 192.168.20.50. okay, so we'll just configure 192.168.20.50. right now this is a floating IP, and I want this IP to be bound to active primary. So who the device which will be active, he will be owner of this IP address. Okay, add. Now we have to change the, okay, now we have to add the inside IP as well. So inside IP 192.168.10.50, okay, floating, and this will be for the active. Okay, /2. Okay, so we are done with the floating IP configuration right now. So we'll do a commit. So right now the configuration is successful, and now we are seeing it's been initial state right now. So all the HA configuration has been done on Palo Alto 1 as well as Palo Alto 2. So we'll see now, waiting for tentative hold time. So this tentative hold time is nothing but what exactly that the session and the configuration replication is happening right now. Okay, so we'll just refresh it now. It will take some time. So it, as it says, 60 seconds, so it will be 1 minute. So we'll just wait for that time. Yeah, so this Palo Alto 1 becomes the active primary, and the other peer will become as secondary, active secondary. Now we'll sync all the configuration. So synchronization is in progress right now, so it will take some time, and the configuration gets synced to peer. So the synchronization is happened. Okay, so all looks fine right now. So what we are going to do is we'll create an policy. Okay, add one policy from inside to outside. Source is inside, destination is outside. Okay, and we'll test some connections, okay, with the PC that we have. Okay, so let the configuration gets successful. Yeah, it's successful. Now we'll see in this also, we'll see, yeah, the configuration replication is happening properly. So now friends, we'll see whether we have got the internet connection to the PC or not. So we'll test the connection now again. Okay, and yeah, we have connection to internet. So what I'll do is I'll do a packet capture on Palo Alto 2 on Ethernet 1. Okay, because we need to fail it over. So yeah, the capture has been started, and that's the next thing that we are going to do is we'll go to the PC and we'll initiate some ping traffic. So ping 8.8.8.8-t. Yeah, we are getting the ping response as well, and we'll try to access some of the web resources, and we'll see how it goes, like whether the connection gets closed or the connection gets complete. So we'll open the Gmail and we'll shut down the Palo Alto 1. So we'll open Gmail and we'll stop this one. Once we see the capture, now we can see a lot of GRP as well as both the ends, up and down. And what we can see over here, the applications are getting exchanged as well. So we'll see whether the Gmail got open. Yeah, so the Gmail got open, and the ping traffic that we can see, it is timed out only one time, and the connection was there. There was no close of the connection, otherwise the Gmail page will not open in that case. And we can see there were a lot of GRP requests to update the MAC table of the switch. So basically what happens is this floating IP was owned by this active device. Once it is down, he got to know and he became active, and then he started sending the GRP message that this IP is on port number G02. Then the PC starts sending the traffic towards this one, and after that it got processed and it goes to internet. As this is how it works, I'll explain you the debug information and more other information, how the session setup happens, how session owners gets created. All those information I'll be explaining in the second video, because if I start explaining here, it will take the video will be very lengthy. So today we have understand the concept, we have seen the configuration part as well as the testing part. In the next video I'll be explaining in very detailed manner. So I'll request you to please click the bell icon so that whenever I upload any video you'll get notified. So guys, this is what I wanted to mention in this video. If you like it, please give it a like. If you have any suggestion or if you have any comment to do which I could have covered in this video, please do that, and I'll try to cover in the next video as well. If you have any kind of suggestion regarding my video, you can send me an email, you can send me a message to Instagram or maybe Facebook, wherever you want. And also I'll request you to please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a video from me. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.